Right, Oliver, this is the one that you're going to have to edit because it's going to be far too long. So I'm going to do an introduction and then I'm going to show a little bit of dry brushing, and then I'm probably going to stop talking and I want you to whiz it along. And I'll just talk as and when. I'll try to do it so that as and when you need to edit it, because nobody wants to watch dry brushing forever. So I only want the video to be 15 minutes or so maximum. So and it's probably going to take me an hour and a half or something to do the bloody thing. So all right, so I'll start now and I'll just introduce it, and I'll introduce colours and products that I'm going to use, and then I'll talk to you about it when you, but I don't want you to edit it this year if possible. Okay, right, let's get started. Is it pterodactyl? It's Tyrannosaurus Rex, isn't it? Right. Hello everybody, my name's Rachel Byass from Rachel Byass Ceramics. Forget that, I stuttered already. Right, cut that. Fuck it. Right, okay. Get on. Tyrannosaurus Rex is here. Right, hello everybody, my name's Rachel Byass from Rachel Byass Ceramics, and today I'm going to do this great dinosaur, which is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm going to make a base for it later on because it's for my grandson, and it's not that heavy because it's slip cast. So I'm going to make a big base out of clay that looks like a rock, which I'll put which is in the picture, which you'll see at the end when you watch it, and then set it in there so that it can't be played with because it's only just gone 5. I'm going to dry brush with Chromacolor acrylics. You could dry brush with any acrylics, Americana, Chromacolor. I'm trying to think of somebody else, probably Gare make them, Duncan. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a good acrylic. If you use cheap acrylics, they tend to take forever to actually build up, and it's not a quick process. So basically some of the cheaper ones are just basically a bit too slimy and they just don't work very well. So I will put a link to Americana and Chromacolor at the end. I don't sell either, but that's the ones that I use. And I'm also going to do a little bit of chalking, which you can use. I do have these in the shop. It's an assorted pack of chalks, which is great for detailing and dry brushing. But because I use black such a lot, I buy a lot of this small one in and sell this one in my shop just in black. And the other thing I'm going to use are hog hair dry brushes. So most of these are hog hair. They're not particularly expensive. They're in the shop, but you can get them in most shops. They're very, very bristly, and you can't, and it's called dry brushing because you can't use a brush once it's wet. You can change from one color to another by wiping it out in like a piece of paper towel like this. This is what I use. It's just paper towel that you get in the paper towel machines, and we have this in our pottery because we don't use cloth towels, especially now. And the other thing I'm going to use for chalking are some slightly softer square shaders, just like this 4 there. And once you've dry brushed with the brush and you give it a good wash, because acrylics is terrible for ruin brushes, you can't use it again until it's bone dry. And I'm also going to put my colours on a wet palette. This is a wet palette. So that I can actually throw away the sheet of paper rather than putting it in the sink, because acrylics can block the sink. So I never put any acrylics down the sink. I had a very bad experience of having to have a whole patio dug up because of acrylic. So I wouldn't suggest anybody puts it down the sink. So here we go. I am going to put out some colours that I'm going to use. I've base coated it to save time. I've base coated it and make it really well and truly dry before I even start. And I base coated it with a Chromacolor acrylic, or it could have been the Americana actually, because I think I'm out of Chromacolor. I'm going to use a selection of colours. It might not quite look like the T-Rex because I want him to look a little bit exciting. And then I'm going to use a chroma colour brush on varnish just to seal him. And although chroma colour doesn't have to be sealed because it is light fast and the colour is the same when wet as when dry, which is why I like it. And I do actually use it. I don't know if you can see in the background. You can a little bit. Just at the back of me, there's some black card because I paint brush strokes on black card and it covers in one. Anyway, I'm going to put the camera down now so you can just see the dinosaur rather than me. I'm sorry, I'm doing this on my own, so no Liz today because it's actually Christmas Eve. You'd think I'd have better things to do, but hey, grandson's got to have his dinosaur tomorrow. So I'm going to start with green. I'll start with, this is chroma colour green oxide. So you always give your acrylics a really good shake and pop a bit out on the throwaway paper, and then you've got a paper to actually dry brush and take the colour out of, because you have got to have very little colour. So you put it on your brush and then work it out so that it appears quite dry inside the brush. That's very important, not to have too much on. Try it on the back of your hand and you can see there's none there. And then I'm going to start to dry brush against the grain. And you probably can see straight away, you're starting to see a build-up of colour. I'm seeing if you're seeing that. If I put it up to the camera. I'm hoping you're seeing that because I can't actually see what you're seeing very well. And keep building it up. So I'm going to build it all up in that colour first. So we'll whiz along a little bit and get this done, and then I'll show you the next colour. Oliver, so there, Oliver, you would break the movie and do this bit at full speed or nearly, or whatever your camera can, whatever you're able to do in Photoshop, because it's not interesting to watch this. So I'm going to build it up as fast as I can, but I don't want this on the camera. Just that other bit is good enough. Unless you think sometimes slow it down a little bit, but I'm not going to be talking to them. Just slow it down a little bit now and again if you think, just to see the progress. I don't know how fast or slow it can go for you. I do hope you're going to do this for me, because I want to put this on probably, I don't know, next week after, no later than that, because you've still got one to do for me that's in the bloody box. Hope I don't break his toes off, and you will have to stick it to the base because Dylan will break this in a minute. And it was expensive. Plus he's nice, so. You could maybe put some written instructions if you wanted. Put the colour on, dip the colour in, make the brush go in circular movements. Try it on the back of your hand and make sure that it's not too wet. Use a fresh piece of paper to get rid of some. I'll tell you when I'm going to start again. I don't suppose Tyrannosaurus Rex is a green. I've no idea what colour they are, but anyway. We obviously want it to be interesting, don't we? Don't have to be too lifelike. I'm not going to flog much on this anyway. We'll have a link to, actually, I haven't got a lot of dry brushes, but I could show you the dry brushes. Maybe we could take a picture of them and put them in. There's a selection of dry brushes. Okay, Olive, I'm going to start again with another colour. Okay. Okay, so for now I've done the dark green with just I probably used about a teaspoonful, I would say, or maybe 3/4, no more. And now I'm going to move on to a different shade. Now you can try doing it with the same brush, or you get a clean one, but you can't wash it and then use it because it won't work. Okay, so there's quite a luminous green. This one is Chromacolour Parchment Green Light, it's called. You can only buy Chromacolour online. Many moons ago I used to work for them as an art director, and it is, in my opinion, the best art colour that there is. Lots of well-known artists use it. But I do as well like Americana paints. They do a Crafters Americana, which is very reasonable, and then they do another one that's a little bit more expensive, but neither of them are particularly expensive. So again, I've worked that out, the brush, and then I'm going to, when you're working across, as I say, I prefer the round ones with a dry brush. Just work across the grain. It's very difficult to do dry brushing on a piece that is not textured. Look, this is textured, and then you just work, and you see it getting lighter. But again, unless you're mean with the paint, you won't keep the black in the background. So just a little bit of paint, take it off on the paper towel, and if you haven't got paper towel, you could use cardboard. This Tyrannosaurus Rex I bought from a lady in where is she now? I think she's in Middlesbrough. She pours her own pottery, so I will put the link for that if anybody wants to send for it, because the major people don't have this. She's got lots of interesting pieces, and when I saw this, I actually saw it done in glazes in Northallerton, and I liked it, but I do particularly like dry brushing. So you can't actually see that, can you? Because I'm doing it. So you see, I'm just working. I'm working in the light green into the coat, and then as you go on to the other colours, you kind of do less and less in different areas, so that you're not actually covering up every colour. Although I've pretty much covered up that other green, there will be remains of the other green. So I'm going to do this and then move on to the next colour. I'm trying to put I'll probably put about 6 different colours in, and I might, when I change from a green into a totally different colour like red, I would change the brush. Okay, Oliver, so there, I'm just going to finish dry brushing this. So obviously it breaks there because I don't want hay Oliver in it. So I'll wiggle this brush as fast as we can. Circular motions I'm doing. You want to write that in. Circular motions against the grain. Not so that you don't fill up the holes. God, it's light as a bloody feather, this. It's ridiculous. You'll have to definitely have it on the base. Otherwise I'll play with it and it'll be broken, and then I'll be a bit peed off. It breaks it. I think you make a nice lamp. Could put a dog leg on. Have a little lamp in his bedroom. He's a beauty. Beauty, aren't you? Mm. Okay, Oliver. Next bit. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce a little bit of yellow. I'll do it, first of all, I'll try it with this green brush that's already got green in it. I think we're done with that particular piece of paper towel. I think that's definitely done its little job, so we'll have another one. Fold it into four, and then I've got a few sides to use, and it's a bit stronger. So into the yellow, and work your brush in a circular motion to get a more luminous green. Or if you wished, you could just switch to a luminous green. Now I'm not going to put this everywhere. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to highlight. So for instance, if you look over his eyes, oh, he's such a handsome chap. Right, look over his eyes, you can see that you could highlight there where the light would catch. It might catch the top of his jaw. So you can just see I've highlighted there his eye, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'll use that one, didn't I? Always give it a shake because acrylic tends to slightly separate. Work it out, and again highlight the uppy bits, the bits that would catch the light. So if I put in some more on and stand him up, and you imagine where the light's coming from. If he was in the sunshine, the light would hit the top of his back. So just pull it down from the top of his back, this luminous green. And then it would hit the top here and the back of his other legs here, and then the top of his feet. So I'll do that. Okay, Oliver, so we'll cut it there, and I'll just do that, do the luminousy bits. Well, that'll do. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next colour. Okay, so I've done the highlight. As you can see, I hope, around his eye, you can see that it's a lot brighter, as if the light's hitting the top of his eye and down his back, tail, and the top of his legs and top of his feet. So now I'm going to move on to some other colours. So I'm going to discard that brush, and that'll be, you can pop it if you want, just pop it in water. Don't leave it in there if it's got a wooden handle because it'll split, but just wet it so it's not going to dry out, and then I'll just pop it in there for do a good wash later. So I'm going to move on to the next colour. I'm going to do a little bit of orange and then a little bit of red. And I'll probably actually do possibly some white as well to create an even bigger highlight. And then I might actually use, I know that they haven't really got gold on them, but I might just put a bit of gold on, we'll see. So I'm going to start with the orange. So I'm going to move away from the green altogether. Fresh brush, so it's orange work. Round brush I prefer. Work into the hog hair, bristly brush. Got to be a bristly brush, not a soft brush. And then we're going to put in some orange bits. So I don't want it everywhere, just want to pick out some little areas. So here, look, there is a little rib. Let's just pick that out there. I know that this is artistic license. I'm going to do the top of his feet, the ribs at the top of his feet, and just a bit here. Might put just a bit around his eye. In his face, can you see that? Do the other side as well. So lay him down. He's quite a big fella. Must be about 20, I don't know, over two, probably about 2 foot long, just about. I'm going to just put this orange rib down this bit of a different area that he's got here, and make it match up at the other side. I've just put a little bit at the top of his leg here. I'm just do a circular movement. I don't want too much. Back of his feet. Top of his arm, I'll put a little bit. His nails. Let's have a look. It's looking a bit interesting. Oops. Back in the place, over his eye again. And then I'm just gonna just do a hint throughout, just stroking this very dry brush for it to just deliver a tiny bit of this other colour into his body. So you can see I haven't hardly used any paint at all. It's not a thing that uses much paint at all. You could actually do this, what I call wet brushing, which is something I could do if I bought another one. I would do that with my clay paints, and that's a totally different technique and a little bit more fiddly than this, but it looks really pretty cool. Right, I'm going to move on to the other side, get myself a clean bit. I hope people are going to have a go on this. You could do this with any dinosaur or dragon, that kind of thing, but it's textured. Or even pieces. We used to have a rose vase by Scioto, which was beautiful. That looked great dry brush. We used to glaze it in the middle so it was waterproof and then use it. So I'm going to highlight, we see around his eye. I'm just going to highlight that in a bit of red, make him look a bit more wicked. Okay, you can see that. I'm going to make other eye match. And then put a little bit throughout his body. Again, not a lot. I don't want much. Just a few markings of red. Oops, I think it's a bit too wet that actually. Let's take a bit away. So that, and just deliver a very small amount of paint. I'll give him red nails. This is great for children to do because you don't have to be precise if you've base coated it first. And I pretty much always base coat in black. What colour teeth should you have? You suppose you could have red teeth because you could have eaten somebody. What do you think, guys? This is a little bit different for me to do on my channel, but I like to introduce different techniques, because throughout the 36 years I've done pottery, I have done pretty much every technique and seminar that was going. I'm always hungry for education, hoping to go to Italy in April to La Mediana for what is it? An advanced class on handle making for throwing. It's cancelled just yet. I hope we're going to go ahead, but we have the doubts again. Right, so now I'm going to do his belly. So I'm going to do his belly in red and orange. So I'll get a little bit more red, work it out on the paper towel. I think that paper towel's had it just about, yep. So I'm going to move on to a new paper towel that's dry, and then do his belly. And we're nearing probably the end. So I'm going to go against the grain. So up and down, like windscreen wipers against the grain. And under his tail. Oops. And under his tail. And just remember, if you're doing this with children, it doesn't come off clothes. You can actually paint with this onto shoes and clothes, and you won't get it off. Once it's set, it's set. Under his chin. There we go, and then switch to the orange. So clean piece of paper, same brush, so that you're just going to a ready orange. Make sure it's dry. So move the paper around, get a dry spot, and then you can highlight. I'm going to highlight his nostrils. And just do his eye again, like his eye with a tiny bit of orange. You see, I've only used 2 brushes throughout, and then I'm just going to highlight his belly with the orange. Just going up and down the belly. I have to go crisscross, crisscross for this one, because the grain is going the other way, the detail is going the other way at the top. And then it changes, going sideways at the bottom, and then his tail. You'll be amazed how different it looks actually when it's either sprayed. You can either spray varnish it, but I tend to use brush on. I don't like the smell of the varnish, whereas the chroma colour varnish has no smell. The brush on, it's milky to start with, and then it dries in a lovely shine. Right, so now I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, if I've got a tiny dry brush. Let's have a look. Actually, I'm going to have to give myself a new one. I wonder if there's a tiny one in the brush caddy. Let's have a look. You can cut that bit out, Oliver. I haven't got one. I'll have to use this one. Okay, so now I've got a small, very small dry brush. I'm going to find a clean place on my paper towel. I rip it up and find somewhere there, look. And I'm going to use white. Because Chroma Colour do 2 whites. They do chroma white and titanium white. I prefer, if I'm buying the colours, I always buy the one that starts with the word chroma. It's more opaque, so I'd like to have fairly opaque teeth. So very small dry brush here. It's just a Royal number 3 hog hair dry brush. Could even go smaller. I don't think I've got any in stock smaller than this. And it's so long since I've done dry brushing that I can't actually find all my dry brushes. I think we've put them away somewhere. So again, go across the teeth, see? Across the teeth. So that you only actually get the teeth. This is why it's quite good for kids. I teach this to just real wee ones. 5, 6-year-olds. So look, he's got a nice white smile. Let's do it at the front as well. So his teeth are white. And then I'm going to just do a small amount of white highlighting in a couple of places on his body. Let's have a look. We'll just highlight a bit over his eye. Top of his cheek. There we go. A bit over this eye. Small amount of white. And then just put a tiny bit here and there on his body. It's a bit like having your hair put through a cap, doing highlights, just to make a bit of difference. There we go. That looks pretty good, I think. Okay, so to finish him off, I'm going to do a little bit of black in his eye. Tiny bit of black. And use a soft brush for this. Let's have a look. What I got up here. Just got like a number 2 liner. Small amount of black. Just detail his eye. So he's got a jet black eye now. And then clean straight away, this is acrylic, and put a tiny highlight of white in each eye. So I use a stylus. Should wait while it's dry really, but I'll just be naughty and do it while it's wet. There you go, see that little highlight makes, you see that highlight makes all the difference. Okay, and then we're going to varnish him. So he's dry. Oh no, acrylic all in there. He's dry quickly. So this is a Chromacolour gloss varnish. Goes an awful long way. Give it a good shake and then put it on with a soft brush. So I'm using a sable, just a sable brush. And you'll see it looks like milk when it goes on, so it doesn't look very nice. It's got virtually no smell. Whereas when you use the spray, it's quite expensive. I don't know if you can even still get it now because it's hazardous. Well, it was claimed nowadays. So this is something that, you know, even the children can do. So I'm going to do this and then you'll see it when it's dry, because obviously you're not going to see the benefit of it for probably 10 minutes, which we're not going to sit here for 10 minutes waiting for paint to dry, waiting for varnish to dry. But I'm just going to varnish it all And I might just put a tiny bit of red on his teeth. I'll decide when he's finished. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this dry brushing movie. And please do subscribe. Love to hear your comments, what you'd like to do next. Do have a go. Don't forget, you can do it on anything, dogs, cats, anything with texture is nice and easy to do in this dry brushing technique. And hope you enjoy. And it's Christmas tomorrow, so although this will go on after Christmas. So, but anyway, I hope you had a good Christmas. Hope you had a good New Year. And I hope you have a prosperous New Year too. And thanks for watching. Bye. Right, Oliver, so I'm going to dry brush this right through and then we'll do some nice pictures of it. And on its base when it's finished, not dry brush it, I'm going to varnish it. Varnish it probably 2 coats. But that's it done. It doesn't actually take that long. I actually did it for 42 minutes. You wouldn't want to watch this for sort of 42 minutes, would you? So I hope that you will. I'll upload this, and then you can cut it down, and I'll send you some pictures of stuff that I've used. So, oh God, no! Fuck! I didn't do the chalking. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this, and then I'll have to do the chalking, and you'll have to put it in. Forget the first goodbye. I'll do a second one, but I'll have to stop the movie because otherwise it'll just run forever. Because this will be an hour drying, unless I dry it with a gun or something. And then I'll do the chalking because the chalking really makes a huge difference. All right. Right, I'm going to stop the tape now and I'll start it again when I do the chalking, and I'll do a second goodbye. I'll say now we've varnished it. Okay, you start from there and the varnish is dry. Now I'm going to chalk, but I'll do that on the next video.